Hey, rock stars. It is Kristen. Today we are live in the mix with Helen with the Orlando Science Center. And we also have Heather with Runway Events, Wedding Planning and Design. Ladies, say hi to everybody.
Hello.
I'm so excited for you guys to join me. Wedding planning gets me really excited because we get to talk about all the fun things. So I wanted to bring you guys on because we have two different point of views. We've got an amazing venue right here in downtown Orlando, which is the Orlando Science Center. Super unique and eclectic. And they also have an outside space with market lights. I know we all love those. And then we also have, of course, Heather with Runway, which they are an incredible team to support you on your wedding day with wedding planning. And they also have their Runway botanicals and then rentals too. So I think we've got a great conversation today for everybody to learn a little bit about wedding planning and the day of operations. So everybody who's joining us, I want to encourage you to ask any questions. We can get to them now or even after the feed. We can always email you. But I want to jump right in because I'm excited. So I'll kick it off with Helen. Helen, tell us a little bit about event planning and, well, actually, I wouldn't say event planning, but tell us a little bit about events and weddings at Orlando Science Center.
So at the Science Center, we have three completely different locations that we use for weddings and events. We have our outdoor terrace with market lights, overlooks downtown Orlando. Absolutely beautiful, elegant, great space. But something that's really unique to the Science Center is our indoor spaces, which is our Dino Digs exhibit hall. You walk in, you're greeted by our giant T-Rex stand, and then the rest of the exhibit opens up into great event space. And then just next door, we have our indoor space, Our Planet, super interactive. So I think these three spaces really make the Science Center really unique and really fun for weddings and events.
Yeah, I love it. There's so many different themes that you can do when you're there because you
Mhm.
have all those different spaces. And then also, your partnership across the street. So you could still have that like outdoor ceremony vibe. So we absolutely love it. Love, 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 love working there. Heather, tell us a little about you and Runway Events and everything that you guys accomplish.
Of course. So we are Runway Events, and we can do your planning, whether it's from full planning, you don't want to do much of it at all, but you want us to be there beside you from start to finish. Or we can come in alongside you, maybe about halfway, and help you finish booking a few of your vendors, finish up the design, and of course be there with you on wedding day. And then we have our what we call our day of coordinating package, but it really starts 2 months out, where we can definitely finish out the rest of the planning process with you, coordinate all of your vendors, and then make sure that your wedding day is really brought to life the way that you've always envisioned it. And like Kristen mentioned earlier, we have our Runway Botanical, which is our full in-house floral design studio. And so that's really fun. And the girls won't let me touch the flowers, but but it's okay. They make beautiful things, so I don't need to touch the flowers. And then we also have our Runway Collection, which is our beautiful vintage and modern furniture and rental pieces. It's signage, cake stands, serving sets, maybe all those little details that you don't necessarily want to purchase because you're only going to use it once, but you can rent it from us and we can bring it along with us to design your wedding day.
Love it. All the fun Pinterest items. Yes.
Yes.
Give me all the things. So I want to talk a little bit about ceremonies, cocktail hours, receptions. There's so many different ideas out there for all of our couples that are planning. So Helen, can you walk us through, give us a couple of visuals of like what my options are if I'm looking to book my wedding at the Science Center for ceremony, my cocktail hour, and my reception?
Yeah, definitely. So our most common use of our spaces is to start out on our terrace for a ceremony or starting out with a cocktail hour out there if you're not having your ceremony with us. And then from there, moving inside into dino digs for the reception, using our planet maybe for cocktail hour. So that's kind of how we see the spaces used. The pretty great thing about the terrace is, you have really great views, get to watch the sunset up there. In our planet, everything in our planet is interactive. So for cocktail hour, you give your guests something to do while you're finishing up your pictures. The vendors are getting ready for the reception to start. And then, you move dino digs, everyone into dino digs for the reception. And the visuals are just really cool in there. Our DJs do some great lighting in there. We've seen our DJ Rocks bring in a bunch of really great uplights to kind of make our dinosaurs look even better and bring some texture to the room.
So I want to talk a little bit about my planet, because if for those of you who don't know or have never been to the Orlando Science Center, I want to dig a little bit deeper into that, because what Helen is talking about, and we've had ceremonies there where there have been chairs set up and there's this giant Earth planet that is illuminated in the background, which could be the background of your ceremony. If not, you could use that as your cocktail hour, where people are truly interacting with the exhibits in there. So, we get asked all the time, what activities can we do? How can we make this more interactive? The Orlando Science Center has an already built-in interactive adventure where you go from ceremony to cocktail hour to reception, no matter where you're at. So it's definitely super unique, and the photos turn out amazing. We have some of them on the blog we can always share with you, or if you just go on the website, you can look those up. But it's definitely unique, and so it's something that if you are looking for that outside of the box experience, Orlando Science Center definitely gives that to you for sure. Heather, talk to us a little bit about what you guys can do and how important it is, as far as, let's kind of go from design and from planning when it comes to the ceremony, the cocktail hour, and reception.
Of course, yeah. So on the planning side, our big role is to just coordinate your vendors. And so to make sure that your vision's really coming to life. Like at this point, you've already done all the hard work of picking the perfect vendors for you. And you already have the vision. And so we're there for you in that, to make sure that your dream's coming to life. So with that being ceremony, we would be there with you from the start of, like, usually an hour before the photographer arrives, making sure hair and makeup is going smoothly, that you're getting in your dress on time, which is the most exciting.
That's important.
Maybe doing a first look, whether it's with your significant other or a parent. And then getting you to the ceremony on time. That's key. And then making sure that we are getting everyone down the aisle in the way that you want to be. So you don't have to be alone in any moment. And so you can definitely be able to relax and know that there's someone there that's directing all of your guests exactly where they need to go, your wedding party, your family, how to walk down the aisle. So no one has to remember. Even though we'll do a rehearsal the day before, you don't have to stress about it. We're even there to help cue, like your DJ, Kristen and the girls, to make sure that the right music is being played at the right time. Not that they need us, but that it's just an added security blanket, I guess.
Yeah.
And then bringing everyone up to cocktail hour to make sure that everyone's enjoying and having a good time, while there's another planner with you, our assistant, making sure that you're being taken care of with a drink while you're taking all of these family photos, and getting some appetizers from your caterer, because a lot of people miss all of that yummy stuff while they're taking their family photos. But Runway will make sure that you get that good food and you get those good drinks, even if you can't make it to your own cocktail hour. And then for reception, we'll be there with you from start to finish, making sure that introductions are going well and you have your first dance and cake cutting. We'll talk you through that during each step of the way, making sure you eat. We've been bodyguards many of times. Telling people, oh, excuse me, but they're going to eat their dinner for a few minutes. I'll talk to you later. Yeah. Which is always a fun part of our day. And then just watching everyone have a good time and dance. And you'll see us like with the DJs behind the DJ table, kind of like doing a little dance with them and screaming the song at the top of our lungs. We like to get down and party too. So, and then we're there till the end of the night to help you kind of clean it all up. But but we love to see it all come together, and we'll set up all of your decor so you don't have to assign a family member or a bridal party member, and we'll clean it all up at the end of the night and load it into someone's car. So you truly just get to show up. Your family and friends just get to show up and enjoy the whole experience.
Oh, I love that. I feel like so much like stress is already relieved just hearing all the things that you do, right? And I think that, a lot of people don't know. So it's important for us to explain and kind of visualize how all of us work together. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? If you and I are down at the ceremony site and you're lining up the processional getting ready to go, I'm making sure mics are checked and music is good to go and people are seated and things like that. And in the meantime, Helen's event team is making sure that they're working with the caterers to get, is the champagne ready? Is food going to be on time? So we're all really working together to make sure that from start to finish, things are just seamless, because at the end of the day, we're there to celebrate, right? And so we want that to
Absolutely.
look seamless. We want it to be, stress-free and all those things. So, what I want to talk about now is packaging. So a lot of brides ask us, well, what am I looking for in a venue package? What am I looking for in, a planner package? What are the things that they need to be either looking for, comparing for, or like if it's not included, that I kind of know. So let's talk about that a little bit so we can give a little bit of direction to our couples. So Helen, I'll pass it over to you. What typically comes in a venue package, and what should couples be looking for as far as their services go with you guys?
Yeah, so with us, we include all of the spaces that we've talked about, and then we also include tables and chairs, cocktail tables, 6-foot tables, pretty much everything you would need for up to 150 people. So we do the setup of all the tables and chairs, the breakdown of all the tables and chairs, and we also, from an event side, we kind of work closely with all of the vendors logistically to make sure everyone has what they need, knows where they're going. If there's if Runway is on site or there's a coordinator on site, we're kind of an extension of that team to make sure everybody has what they need. Our building is a little complicated on the back end to get into, so we want to be there to make sure day of everything is where it needs to go, and we can answer those questions, power wise, where you plug in, if you need ladders or lifts or any of that stuff. Our team is there to kind of help out with all of that.
Yeah, it's really great too, because I think that what a lot of times is missed is, we post these great photos online for inspiration, whether it's our website or Instagram or Pinterest, but it takes a lot of work to get things set up and get all the people in place to make sure that things flow smoothly. So like load in could start as early as 9, 10, depending on the where, right? But obviously we get the opportunity to work at a place like the Science Center, which is an operating venue with exhibits. So there's lots of little bit of logistical things that go on behind the scenes to make sure that you guys don't have to worry about any of that. And that's when it's important to work with somebody like Helen, or, a company like Runway, and somebody like RDJ Rocks, who has been at the Orlando Science Center, because we know all the ins and outs, right? Heather, yay. So talk to us about wedding planning. What should I look for in my package? What are things that stick out? How do I even begin with this?
Absolutely. So I would say my biggest piece of advice with wedding planners, but even with any wedding vendor, is to get to know them during your consultation and make sure you vibe with them, like that they get your vision and that you like the person, because you're ultimately going to be talking to them a lot during your planning process. So if you don't like your planner's personality, then don't book them. Because if you don't like her in that first 30 minutes, or him, if you don't like them in that first 30 minutes, then you're not going to grow to like them during out your planning process. So definitely make sure that you are getting them on the phone and chatting through with them, and just making sure that you really do like them. And so then as far as like the packages go, we like to ask the couples, like, what are they looking for in our services? And I'm sure that you ladies probably do as well, to make sure that they're a good like fit for you. Because we understand that we're not a fit for every single couple, and that's okay. There's plenty of other great vendors out there in Central Florida that they might fit better with. But definitely asking them, what do you need out of us, and making sure that that we can provide that to them. And so we're really big on being honest and kind of telling you like it is. And so we're not going to lie to your face or anything like that just to get a booking. We're going to kind of tell you like it is and help you throughout the process. And we really do want to be your friend throughout the process. And so we will custom our packages if a couple is like, oh, I think I really want this, but I don't want this. And so just to kind of really help them out. But typically it is really about, like, we talk about who they are, how they met, and how they got engaged, and then what their wedding vision is. And then we'll kind of chat with them through like what they want to happen on wedding day and how they want us to come alongside them. And so that would be really important. Another thing is to really know when your package starts. So especially for us as planners, everyone is different. And so some planners will start a month out, some will start 2 months out, or there's even some packages that we have that start 6 months out, or will start immediately, depending on what package you want and what you need. And so that's also really important. And just to make sure expectations are set, you want to be communicated with, and you kind of want to know what the plan is, and not kind of be left in the dust. And so also setting that communication standard of, well, do you just kind of take my idea and run with it? Or do I get to be a part of that process as a client and kind of make the decisions along with you? And so those will kind of be like my big pieces of advice, especially when you're looking for a wedding planner in the industry.
I love that. And I think, it's so important too, because I think all of us can kind of get a little bit excited. And so we, could take text messages at like midnight and like 2 years out, but it's like, okay, wait, what, like, are we like, it's like the friend and vendor zone,
right.
You know what I mean? So we want to be there to help everybody 24 hours a day, but also like laying out those guidelines of like, okay, this is what I'm going to help you with. Here's your homework. Get back to me on this. So let's talk about when I should book, because you talked about timelines and like, maybe a month out or a year out, and it might be a little bit different for all of us. So of course, I'll kick it back up to Helen. What would your advice be for couples who are booking their wedding or looking at booking their wedding right now? When should I be looking at booking my venue?
So for us, we book pretty much like a year and a half in advance. That's kind of our booking. And, for us, it really depends on the day of the week that a couple is looking. Our Saturdays go first. So if someone is interested in a Saturday, we always tell them, any venue to kind of, figure that out sooner than later. And then we have some Sunday specials that we offer, and then our Friday pricing. So it's usually Saturdays that if someone is looking to book as soon as possible. So usually around a year and a half out, we're seeing.
Yeah, that's great. I feel like most people get engaged like maybe a year and a half, 2 years out. So it's like, guys, okay, cool. Get engaged, find your venue. Because once you have your venue, the date gets locked in. If you've got a contract for your venue, that date is not changing. And I think for us and maybe even for event planners, our packages may change based on the venue, just depending on how many people we need, what equipment we need, what all we can help you guys with. So definitely venue is first. And then you want to have someone like Heather or someone on her team that helps you get through all the planning. So Heather, talk to us about when they should look at maybe what are the options for wedding planning. Maybe they don't need to book you far out and they're really hands-on and they want to do all the things and then just like book you, a month out, like you mentioned. And then also, is it important for them to have a consultation with you?
First off, yes, 100% a consultation is necessary. I would say we offer complimentary consultation. So it's at no cost to you. You get to talk to our incredible creative director, Trish, on the phone, and she'll spend however long she needs to make you feel comfortable and talk to you through all the details. So I would say that is definitely necessary because, like I said earlier, you want to like us because we're going to be your biggest advocates on wedding day. And so we need to know your ins and outs, how you operate, what your vision is, all of that. And so that's super important. As far as booking us out, it's really kind of what you have envisioned. If you've envisioned having a full wedding planner that's really with you from the start, that helps you find your venue and find all of your vendors, that helps negotiate your contracts, and helps you with your design and all of those things, then I would say, like, get engaged and then then come talk to us and us
Mhm.
be kind of immediate. And so we'll book you as far out as we need to if you really want us for full planning. So that way we can help lock in your date. And so usually our full planning clients will book us without a date. And so then we work together to find a venue and a date that works well for all of us. And so that's really important. Now, if you're one of those brides that's like, I've got this, like I can plan this thing. I want to plan this thing. I've envisioned it since I was a little kid. So let me do it. I would still say try to book us at least like 6 months to a year out, just so that you know that the date is available. But if you're going to hire us for our day of planning package, we start that 2 months prior to your wedding date. And so you can book us anywhere up until then, till 2 months prior, if we still have your date available. But just to lock in your date, I would book us then. We also do a getting to know you meeting, is what we call it internally. And so when our couples book us, we pair them with their planner and they instantly get a getting to know you meeting. So it's a really cool meeting. It's an hour-long meeting for us as a planner to get to know our clients, just to kind of get the feel of them. So then that way, when they're kind of emailing us throughout the process, little quick questions here and there, we already have a face to a name and know them a little bit. So that helps. And then it also allows us to be able to recommend vendors to them. And so we recently started doing this, and it's totally changed the game, because usually the client would book us and we wouldn't talk to them till 2 months out. And then, but at that point, they've already booked all their vendors, or at least we hoped. And so this allows us to kind of get to know them and then be able to recommend a few that we feel like they would vibe well. So then that way, like, we are kind of helping with the vendor team on site, and it just makes our day so much easier when we get to work with the vendors that we love and trust so much.
I love that. And I think, we always say that, right? Like, when you've got a great vendor team, our job is really easy. But I think on the flip side of that, what we really mean by saying that is, like, you want the most positive synergy that you can possibly get on your wedding day. You've already chose the person you're going to marry for the rest of your life. You've got your wedding party on both sides. You've got your friends and family. It's all about the vibes. I know it's funny because when I get there for setup, when I'm DJing or doing a photo booth or whatnot, I always check in and I'm like, okay, how are we doing? How's the vibes, right? Because if everyone is on the same team and we understand, and the load in is easy and the setup is easy, and I already know that, like, I'm setting up my power over here, so I'm not interrupting Helen because, she's trying to get the catering team together, things just go smooth. And it's amazing what happens when you get to the celebration when that happens. So as much as it is easier on us when you have a vendor team that at least knows each other and is familiar with the venue, it just makes things go so much more seamlessly. So speaking of vibes, I want to talk fun stuff with you guys. What has been the most memorable wedding you've done in your career so far? So this could be interesting, funny. Helen, for you, it could be like the most themed, maybe wedding or event at the Science Center. Anything that kind of sticks out in your mind. And this time I'm going to start with Heather.
All right. Oh man, I always like little pieces from each wedding. Like, I don't know if there's one wedding in my brain that I'm like, yes.
No, you get one. You only get one right now.
One. Okay, probably one of the most memorable is we changed an entire like church gymnasium into this beautiful reception location. And we still kick ourselves because we didn't take a before and after picture. Although if we were smart, we would have texted the bride later for a before picture, but that's fine.
Yeah.
But we like draped the whole thing, and Rebecca had this design and this vision in her brain, and she worked along with the couple on it, and it really truly came to life. Like, we walked in and it was a gym, and then all the vendors came and put it together, and then we walked back in and it was like we walked into a ballroom. Like, it was so beautiful.
Where was that at? Was that here in Central Florida anywhere?
It was in Kissimmee.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
wow. Okay,
Yes.
cool. So we're all gonna have to go creep their pages to see
Yeah.
see the design that they do.
I don't think, yeah, I'll have to find it for sure and see if I can post it. But it was years ago, like one of our, and the first couple of years of Runway. But I feel like that's the most memorable, just being able to truly see something that was nothing and then
Yeah.
seeing it like just develop into this beautiful reception location.
Wow. I love that. Isn't that great? It's like, here's all my Pinterest photos. Go
Yes.
make this happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Crazy.
All right, Helen, what about you? What's the craziest theme, the most kind of memorable event that kind of sticks out in your career?
So, we get some really cool couples. They're into Star Wars, they're into Harry Potter, they're into to all sorts of cool stuff. So we get to see a little bit of everything that's really exciting all the time. But we did a wedding a couple years ago, and all of the people working the wedding, so their officiant, their DJ, their servers, everyone wore different Star Wars costumes. So their officiant dressed as Obi-Wan Kenobi. They were extremely creative people. So they built their backdrops, their outfits, their lightsabers, their centerpieces were all toys that they bought from a toy store, and they actually painted and kind of made them look worn, added gold to it, beautiful flowers. So it just like they had the 501st at the wedding, which is a bunch
Wow.
of Star Wars characters that come out dressed to theme. So it's really nice to see when people take these quirky themes and make them beautiful and elegant on their own. And this one was one of those.
I love that.
Mhm.
We do get a lot of Star Wars themed weddings. From the DJ side, it's always like either they're adding on like the glow sticks or we do some sort of like glow stick entrance or exit, which is really cool. So I love that. I love when couples incorporate their own personalities and the things
Mhm.
that make their relationship unique. I love, love, love that. Um, so my next question is for Heather. Heather, how do you guys help pair your couples with vendors, knowing that they're going to be a good fit for them? So I'm a bride or I'm a groom or I'm a couple coming to you and I trust you with giving me the right vendor choices. How do you know who to pair me with?
Yeah, so the great thing with the getting to know you meeting is being able to learn more about their personality and more of their vision for a wedding day. And just asking like those questions, like for a DJ, for instance, it's like, well, what kind of music do you want to hear on your wedding day? Or what's your favorite band? Like, what do you jam out to in your car? And then usually it's like you have a gut feeling or the person like pops in your brain and you're like, oh my gosh, you have to reach out to RGJ
Yeah.
Rock. Like those girls are great. Or what, some like super, like they all only want Spanish music. And so then you're like, okay, well, this would be another great DJ that you could
Yeah.
reach out to too. And so that's really like where that pairing goes well too. And then it's also sometimes they'll talk about budget. And so just having worked with people in the industry and kind of knowing what their general budget is. But sometimes I'm even like, okay, they're out of your budget, but you have to talk to them because they're so perfect for you that I think you can, number one, splurge a little bit, or we can find another way to like shave it off so where you can actually afford them. Or it's like number two, like lucky you, they might just kind of love Runway enough to help you out a little bit on your budget. Just knowing all the other vendors that they've hired too, that makes our day easier. Makes it a little bit more fun. So I would say that that's really, we do ask a few questions before we're just like, here's a list of people, like go
Yeah.
have fun.
It's not like random. It's like, I want to know
No.
your budget. Give me an idea so that, I know we're not too far off, but if we need to move things around, I almost like you guys are almost like fairies in the background with your spreadsheets being like, okay, if they really want the science center and they're getting made across the street and they want these two things, but they're in this kind of music and they have this budget. And like, I see you guys going like this with your spreadsheets. Like, I love it. I love it.
Definitely.
Okay, so Helen, talk to me a little bit about day of operations because I want people to understand what it's like once they get to the day of. So let's jump into that a little bit. What should the couples expect that a venue should be responsible for on their wedding day?
So day of, anything that needs to be in our building from our couples, if, there's a planner that has, place cards, signage, anything that needs to be in the building, we usually suggest dropping off the day before, because when our couples and our vendors are coming into our venue, our building is still actually open to the public.
Mm-hmm.
So there's our general guests, and then there's our vendors and our wedding guests and all of that stuff coming in. So we're always very upfront, and we let our couples know that this is what's going to happen when they show up. We have dressing areas that both couples can go into to kind of hang out, be out of the way. They kind of do their thing. Photographers can come work with them. And then from there, we kind of start our setup really fast. We get things going, and we make sure everything is in place. From a venue side, it's important to know who's responsible for setting up the tables and chairs, who's responsible for making sure everything is where it needs to be. If there's a weather call, our team needs to know who from either the planner side or the couple side is going to make that weather call. We really do try to push it till around 3:30 the day of, sometimes even 4 o'clock. And we need to know who our point person is to make that call, to make sure things go the way that they're supposed to. So we try to give all of this information to our couples as far out in advance as possible.
Yeah, that's really important too, because, there are some times where, from our standpoint, and I know, Heather, you've probably experienced this, where couples want to start their wedding, maybe ceremony at 3 o'clock and then be done at like 9 or 10. Obviously, there are different kind of timelines and what they look like when it comes to the Science Center. So just knowing that and being able to kind of back that timeline up, as so that like someone like Heather or any of the ladies at Runway can kind of help you curate what that looks like based on, okay, if vendors can start loading in at this time, then ceremony can't start any earlier than here. And then boom, we party until here. So just knowing those kinds of things and having people on your side that can just take care of that, because really you guys shouldn't have to worry about that. We'll take care of that. We'll tell you, when you can start, and then you say, okay, yes, that works, or no, it doesn't, let's start later, or what have you. Heather, talk to us a little bit about what a wedding planner does on the day of, and then more importantly, and you can kind of skip, to this because this is more important. What do couples love about your runway planners the most?
Yeah, of course. So, real quick on what to expect, I guess, of us on wedding days. I like to think that that your wedding planner is kind of like the glue that holds everything together, or like the coach that kind of is directing everyone to make sure that they're doing the game plan.
Yeah.
Because we already sent them the game plan, the timeline. And so we're the coach. They're just making sure that everything is being followed. And usually the vendors and the venue, we've already communicated logistics and everything in advance. And so we just kind of work together on wedding day and all come together. But we're really there just as communication. In case anything changes, there's quick problems that come up that you have to like easily like problem solve and just communicate so that the couple isn't bothered or the family isn't bothered. We already know you well enough so we can make the decision on your behalf typically. So that's what I would say that we do the most on wedding day. So that way everyone can truly just relax and enjoy and not have to stress about anything. Because the last thing you want to stress about is the weather call, or, hey, grandma wants to sit here now instead of where you wanted her to sit. And so, as your wedding planner, we kind of can probably process what you would say. So we can help grandma out on where she needs to sit.
Because we had the get to know you meeting. We've held you the whole way through. I've already talked to Helen. I know when I can load in. I know I don't have to worry about that. I know you can already read my mind. So let me just be with my girls, have a sip of either my champagne or my lemonade, and like, let me just enjoy my day. You make it happen, boo. I'll see you on the dance floor.
Yes, absolutely. That's exactly how we want you to feel when wedding day approaches. It's just like you sit back and you're just like, Heather's got this. I don't have to worry about a thing. And so to transition into what do people like most about Runway, it's I feel like because we do have the getting to know you meeting and we have an itinerary planning meeting, which is about 2 hours of talking about all of the plans and logistics to put together a timeline for you. And then we have a final meeting, which is just to finalize all the plans. And that's about like a week and a half before your wedding. And so we usually say like after that day, you can't make any changes. And that's your deadline to have all of your DIY projects done. So truly your last week, 2 weeks of being engaged, you can just really enjoy it.
Yes.
And then we see you at rehearsal, and then we see you in the morning as you're getting ready. And so we really, like, the moment we see you the morning of your wedding, we want you to be like, I know your face. I know that there's going to be a smile on it. I know that you're going to have a drink for me. I know that it's just going to be fun, and that your presence is relaxing, and I trust you. And so, and I feel like we are a fun group of girls, I would say so. And so we do kind of want to enjoy all of those moments with you. We genuinely, like, will have tears in our eyes when you do your first look, or when you walk down the aisle. Like, we're happy dancing for you during your first dance, or getting low on the dance floor. When you're eating dinner and we're eating dinner, we're like enjoying it with you. So I just would really like say that we do become your friends throughout the process. And so that's really our goal. And that's what I feel like our clients really do love about us, is it's a genuine relationship during the process. Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love that. I feel like if I was planning my wedding all over again, like, number one, that's like, I just need a bunch of friends to help me, because all of this is overwhelming. I just want to dance.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm literally that, like, I want to marry my other half, and like, I want to have my moment, and then I want to celebrate with family.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people may not know how close the planner and the venue work together, because your relationship is so integral to making sure that, like, everything gets where it needs to be, the couple gets there, and then we can go. So I want to talk a little bit about at what points of the planning process and even the day of execution do the planner and the venue need to collaborate the most. So I'll kick it off to Helen first to kind of give us, her tidbits and points on that.
Yeah, I think usually when we have planners that are helping couples out, we will normally do a site visit a couple months in advance to make sure that, the suggestions that are being made and the ideas that are being generated are all doable within our space. So we always kind of like to do like a walkthrough, what works, what doesn't work. So that way, as they plan together, everything is 100% achievable. And then from there, usually as it gets closer, we always look to our planners to let us know who's coming into our building and when they're coming into our building, anything that we need to keep a surprise or keep hidden. So we're really looking to them to kind of do what they need to make sure that everything happens the way that it's supposed to. If we see something that we can take care of, while the planners are working with the couple or the vendors or things like that, we're always there to kind of help out where we can.
I love that. Heather, talk to me about your point of view. What points of the wedding planning process, and then also day of, that it's most important that you're collaborating with the venue?
Absolutely. I would say in the planning process, the floor plan is very important. There's no better person that knows their space better than your venue coordinator, or their sales director, whoever you're working with. And so just kind of whether they're going to create the floor plan or we create it as your planner and work alongside them, just to make sure that the tables are going to fit in these right spaces, the DJ table is in the right space so that they have their power access, the buffet line or the catering area is in the right spot. So that's just really important, is the floor plan that we really like to collaborate with them on. And then the load in and load out. Some venues are easy and you don't even have to think about it. And some venues are a little bit more tough, like Helen kind of mentioned earlier, because they are available to guests. And so you do have to make sure that their experience is still just as great on event day or not event day. So we do like to really abide by all of those rules and make sure we're communicating it on the venue's behalf of when all the vendors can arrive and how they can access the building. The other thing is something that you as a client wouldn't necessarily think about, but is insurance. And so having event insurance, and it sounds kind of dumb, but it's very important. And so a lot of venues require your professional vendors to have, or any of your vendors really, to have a certificate of insurance to cover you on your event day in case anything was to happen. So that is why you want to hire professionals and not your family members or just a friend who does this for fun, but because that really does protect you. So that's another thing that we talk to the vendors about, of what kind of paperwork they need from their vendors that are going to access their property.
Whew, you guys have your hands full.
That's kind of like the boring stuff, like not the stuff that you want to talk about or you want to think about, but you need to.
I know. It's great because I get to do all the fun parts with our couples and like their vision. And obviously there's setup and there's AV and microphones and ceremony and cocktail hour and there's emceeing and there's coordinating. There's a lot to what we do. It's a lot more than just showing up and playing the right songs at the right time to create that celebration. But that's literally what I'm going for, right? So like, please make sure that you trust your planner, your venue, and that everyone really works together, because you don't want to stress on your day. What you envision in your head is all the things that are stress-free, and they're creating moments and the great vibe on the dance floor. And you're not going to be able to do that unless you have vendors that you can trust and that you vibe with. So that's really, really important. So I want to end with some advice for all of our couples. And the question is, what is the best piece of advice you have for couples planning their wedding right now? So Helen, I'll let you go first on this one.
I think the one thing that I've always thought was good is to just be flexible and kind of, be excited, be flexible, and be willing to take advice. I think that a lot of times, venues have vendor lists and planners have relationships with vendors that they've worked with, and there's a reason why these relationships are in place. So I think it's important to be flexible, but also take the advice that's being given by the professionals that you're working with and that you've hired, because it really makes for a great experience. And at the end of the day, you want that good experience. You want it to be memorable and have fun with your wedding plans.
I love that. Heather, what about you?
Yeah, I would say like there's no traditions, or don't stick to the traditions. There are traditions, but you don't have to stick to them. And so really kind of bring in your personality. So if there's a certain drink that you like, make that your signature drink. Or if you really like, I don't know, chocolate, like have a chocolate bar, or like it's those little pieces that really mean the most to you as a couple and as people that are the most memorable at wedding day. And so like if you're a big UCF fan, try and get Nitro to come, or have Kristen play the fight song. Like, if you don't want to, afford Nitro, but like those little things are the most memorable at weddings that I would say of any wedding. One of my favorite like little memories, and I was just thinking about it because it was Father's Day recently, is that like one of my brides, they always like took a shot before a big like thing, a big moment in their life, I guess. And so right before they walked down the aisle, the bride and the father took a shot. And it was just, and I still remember it. This was probably like 4 years ago. And so every time I see the picture, it gives me some chills, because you really remember like in that moment, that was a moment for just the two of them. But it was also just like something that you're going to live with for the rest of your life. And so that's what I would say is the most memorable for not only your vendors, but for your guests.
Aw, I absolutely love that, because my motto, like in life and with RDJ Rocks, is creating moments. And I think that's what this is all about. So hire vendors that you can trust. It's I want to call it an interview process, but it's really a get to knowing you. Like, do you want to swipe right or do you want to swipe left? Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? And then get to the point where it's positivity, you're creating moments, and infuse that with your personality, whether it's a shot prior to walking down the aisle, or whether you're taking songs that come from maybe your fiance's family's culture and infusing that. Even if you don't know that music, what if it's just one song that's like their song? There's lots of little different things you can do. And I think that overall, kind of speaking on behalf of all of us, we can all help you from a DJ standpoint, from a planner standpoint, design, venue, and all of your other vendors really help you guys make it you. And I think that's what this is all about, because at the end of the day, you wouldn't be spending all this time having a wedding celebration if you didn't care about every single person that was there to celebrate with you. So thank you, ladies, for joining me today. I can't wait to see you again. If anybody has any other questions or wants to follow along or follow you for inspiration, let's kind of round table where they can find you. So Heather, kick us off. Where can they find Runway? Where can they ask you for questions and get all the inspiration?
Yes, you can go to our website. It's yourrunwayevent.com, yourrunwayevent.com. And check it all out on the website. There's a contact form that you can fill out, and we'll reach out to you and be able to set up a complimentary consultation. You can follow us on social media at Your Runway Event. And if you have any questions that maybe we didn't get to answer tonight, or something else sparks your memory during your dreams tonight, feel free to email us hello@yourrunwayevent.com.
Yay! And Helen, what about you? Where can they get all the info and all the inspiration from Orlando Science Center?
So you can follow us on Instagram at OSC Events, and that's usually the best way to get in touch with us. You can go to our website. It is osc.org, and you can look for wedding and event information under the events tab. But we are always available to talk through things and kind of make things happen the way you need them to.
I love it. Thank you again, ladies, for joining us. Thank you to all of you who tuned in and watched. Thank you for your great partnership in creating amazing weddings, and we can't wait to see you really soon.